All right, today I want to talk a little bit about current pop culture and singing technique. And I'm going to get a little bit on a rant here. Okay, here's the deal. I love pop music, always have. I love it now, and I will. And I love the singers, a lot of singers. And even the ones that I'm going to rant about now, I love them, okay? I think their sound is great. They're amazing musicians. But can we stop pretending that a lot of the way the technique that is being used is really healthy and long-term sustainable? Okay, let me just share a few things. Now, of course, I was trained classically. I learned opera, but way before that, which you don't know maybe, I was raised in a musical family and I started singing early on, and I just pretended to be this amazing singer, which, I had vibrato. I just imitated what I heard. And I was always really good at imitating what I heard, like on the radio or something. So we had a lot of classical music that played at our house. I listened to pop music as a teenager, with my friends, and I had a lot of singers. Like I remember Billy Joel was one of my first records, Genesis. What's the album's name? I can't remember. I remember that the pastel colors cover, it was where the song, I can't walk, I can't dance, or something like that was on there. But I love those songs, and I loved the singers. Depeche Mode, oh my goodness. It was I was so in love with, Enjoy the Silence. Even nowadays, I could listen to this all day long. But it seems like in the past 10, 20 years, there are a lot of singers now that do a lot of things that sound amazing. But I just want to talk a little bit how sometimes even an amazing sound, you have to ask yourself from a technical perspective, and we could argue, oh, it's not about technique. It's just about sounding amazing. But here's the thing. I'm arguing that if you want to have the same voice that you have now, which, okay, of course, it's not going to be exactly the same, but if you want to have a voice that's as healthy as it is now, hopefully it is, right? You have to do certain things and you have to avoid other things in order to keep that voice in top shape. It's like an athlete. If you want to run the fastest sprint possible, you're going to have to maybe not smoke. You can smoke and still be an athlete. I'm sure there are those athletes who maybe do smoke or drink. I'm not sure, but probably you're not going to be an Olympian. There are opera singers who smoke, believe it or not. I've had quite a few colleagues who smoke. They know it's not good. And it's not too bad when you're in your 30s and 40s, but it does really start having a larger effect when you get a little bit older. So it's the same with the singing technique. So when you do a lot of things like very breathy singing, well, that depends. If you're singing high, that could be damaging. But just ask yourself, when you listen to a sound that you hear, is that healthy? Is that sustainable for the next 20, 30, 40 years? Because there are a lot of young singers now who are definitely amazing. And there are those who are very smart, who stay within their range and within their strength. And then there are those who I feel like they feel like they have to live up to something and sing higher and louder. Now, Adele had to learn this the hard way. She had this period of time, and I feel like it wasn't just her decision. It may have also been producers who kind of encouraged her to do this, to sing higher, more intense. Alicia Keys had this tendency to where for a while she had I feel like her voice started getting very raspy and damaged a little bit. And you have to come back to the basics at some point and ask yourself, can I do this? Having all these tours and gigs and all these performances coming on, it's not a bad thing when you sing every once in a while, but when you start singing professionally and you have to do it all the time, that's when it becomes a problem. That's when good technique becomes very important. And Celine Dion is someone, she has always paid attention to that. And that's why her voice still works after so many decades. It still works quite well. Now, of course, she has had health issues, which totally has an effect on the voice. But generally speaking, I know that she has always worked with a coach because habits creep in. And that is a smart thing to do. even the best singers, you don't work with a coach because you're not good. You work with a coach because you are great, which makes you then have to sing a lot because a lot of people want to hear it, which then exposes you to a lot of danger of like over singing if you do it a lot. I want you to be cautious and to listen very critically. Everyone has their signature sound. You hear that raspiness and you start hearing a change in voice. Miley Cyrus, her voice changed to be lower, but also she had to kind of tweak a bit, right? We don't want that raspiness in the voice if it's something we cannot stop happening. Having come from a classical background, I always want to caution everyone to not just sing at any cost and go high and to belt loud because you can. The fact that you can doesn't mean that you have to do it all the time necessarily. Ask yourself, should I? Is it in a good way? Am I doing it with healthy technique? Am I supporting? Am I taking a deep breath? Am I opening the pharyngeal space? Or am I maybe pushing the larynx, raising it high or pushing it down too much, which then really puts a lot of strain on your vocal mechanism? You want to just ask yourself these things. Like Demi Lovato also. The way she used to sing, I haven't checked lately, but the way she used to sing sounded absolutely amazing, but from a technical standpoint, very problematic the way she sang the high pitches. It was very yelled. Well, I wouldn't say unsupported, but not to where there was this subglottal compression, keeping a lot of pressure from the vocal cords. I feel like she put a lot of weight against the vocal cords and didn't have that awareness of how can I have the best resonance with the support and that inhalare la voce, where I don't push outward too much. Listen critically. That's all I'm saying. Don't pretend like just because someone sounds amazing, they're doing everything right. They're doing it right from the standpoint of, well, it results in a great sound. But you still want to have this result in a great sound 20 years from now or 30 years from now, depending on how old you are. If you're 20 now, you still want to sing when you're 60 and 70. And there are those singers who are in good shape when they get older. And there are those who, after 10 years in the business, big problems. And you don't want to have those big problems. Okay, this was a little bit of a rant, but I just wanted to put this out there. And because there are so many, especially young singers too, you listen to something and it sounds amazing and you just want to do the same thing. And so you just think like, oh, it sounds like they're yelling really loud. Let me do that. And I just want you to think a little more about this from a technical standpoint. Thank you so much for watching today. I hope you have an amazing day. See you soon for the next one. Subscribe if you have not. And always keep a song in your heart. Always keep on singing.